Hello, everyone. Day 19. We are talking rhythms and counting. So you can call this Rhythms 1.1. So we have talked about time signatures, and we've talked about note values. Now let's talk about counting. There are more than one method out there for counting rhythms. I don't personally like them all, so we're going to stick with the ones I personally use during my teaching. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about what I use for my more advanced playing. When we are in duple time, or what we call simple meter, I use this technique. The beats each get a number. So in 4/4, the quarter notes get 1, 2, 3, 4. If I need to count eighth notes, I keep those numbers exactly the same, but fit an and evenly in between the numbers. So now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I'm counting 16th notes, I put an E after the number, but before the and, then an after the and, but before the next number. So this results in 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. I count the smallest of what I'm using. So if my rhythm has eighth notes in it, and that's the smallest thing in the rhythm, like this, I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If it has 16th notes in it, like this, I'm counting 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. When I see a triplet, I'm thinking the word triplet. Now, I know triplet has two syllables, and I'm adding one to make it work. This is what was taught to me, and it seems to work pretty well. No matter if I'm facing an eighth, quarter, or half note triplet, I'm still thinking the eighth note triplet. So here's how it works. For quarter note triplets, the notes fall on every other eighth note triplet. So if I'm counting triplet, 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 the quarter note triplets are on every other like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. Make sense? If I'm doing half note triplets, each note ends up being on the fifth eighth note of the triplet. So it goes like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. If you think it that way, your triplets will be even all the time. The tricky thing with counting triplets is a lot of people, when they're using the triplet method that I use, they will end up not having all three be even. So you'll have people going triplet, 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 and like shorten one of them, or triplet, triplet, something like that, and they end up being not even. If that's a stylistic thing you're going for, fine. But if we're strictly talking counting the rhythms, you need to make sure that the three words triplet are exactly even. And that's tough. I strongly recommend practicing that with a metronome. I adapt this for triple time, or what we call compound meter. If I'm counting in 6/8 at a slow tempo, I will count every eighth note beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In a faster tempo, I count the big beats, or where the dotted quarter notes line up. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. The big 1 and the big 2 are where the dotted quarter notes line up. All those numbers are the eighth notes. As I said, the difference between the two really is what tempo I'm working with and wanting to hit that big grouping or hitting the individual eighth notes. If we need to count 16th notes in triple time, I'm putting an and between the numbers just as we did with the eighth notes in simple time. So 16th notes in compound time is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 3 and. Make sense? Use this. Don't be afraid to count rhythms out and clap them. When I'm practicing something complex or just challenging, I will count out and tap even super slow. If you are counting something out, it definitely helps to use a metronome. I know no one likes playing with a metronome, but it does work. Getting advanced. Real talk. I don't count like this anymore. I haven't for years. After you do this enough, it becomes pattern recognition and you don't have to. Also, as you get to do this more, you start doing things that are more and more complex. There are more complex counting systems for doing things like 32nd notes and 64th notes, but I don't use them. I use the system we first discussed, but will shift what gets the beat. So, for example, if I have to play this with 32nd notes, when I'm practicing, I shift the counting so that the eighth note gets the beat. So now in 4/4, I'm counting eighth notes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 16th notes now get the and the 32nd notes become the E and the Make sense? The older I get, the less I focus on beats. My brain now functions more like the clicking of a metronome. I've been playing long enough that I don't need to focus so much on stylistic things like strong and weak beats. Kind of perfected that back in college. But I don't think I would have gotten to the point that I'm at without first really learning to do this counting system well. So, use it. It will make it easier. I promise. See you next time.